It's Wednesday, August 17th. Welcome to this week's edition of CT Pulse on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski. My co-host Josh Fisher is on vacation this week, but we're going to forge ahead. If you're tuning in to see our interview with Trumbull First Selectman Tim Herbst, you'll have to wait until next Wednesday, August 24th. But today we have a few topics to cover, including presidential candidates in Connecticut, one coming to raise money in Greenwich quietly, something we're used to seeing. But of course, Donald Trump coming for a rally in Fairfield. We have a first-hand account from outside of that. We'll also talk Republican state legislators looking to improve animal shelter laws, upcoming tax-free week, and coaches and athletes trying to save a wrestling program in Bridgeport. And of course, we'll have drawing conclusions with Doug Smith. But first, on the line, we have HAN's Brian Hafele. He wears many hats in the company, including as a talented photographer who tried to get into the Trump rally on Saturday. Brian, so happy to have you.
Hi, Kate.
So, Brian, I should say the HAN Network never received approval to formally cover the event, but you did get a ticket to go in, but I heard that didn't work out.
No, I did have a request to cover the event, and when I arrived on Saturday, the request was still pending. So with that, I tried to get in a little bit later with the ticket. The auditorium was really, really hot. The AC either wasn't working or just wasn't keeping up with the crowd. There was a full capacity. I think there was about 4,500 people in the audience. So a lot of them had to leave. A lot of them had heat exhaustion. I witnessed a few people on stretchers going to ambulances. So it was quite a scene, and it was very well attended. A lot of people. A lot of Trump supporters, and then in front of the venue we also had some love Trump's hate people, so they were also kind of showing their views.
Right. And so were there any kind of run-ins between the two groups? I mean, would you say that, people kind of were butting heads a bit?
For the most part, a lot of the Trump supporters kind of, they walked by, they would do chants like, Trump, 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 or lock her up. But for the most part, they were pretty civil. Both sides were respectful. I did capture one video where we had an argument between a woman that was trying to sort of, define to this Trump supporter what fascism was. And so they had a little bit of a disagreement on that. And then across the street, we had people that, there was like 4 young men that had a banner that said, diversity equals white genocide. So there definitely was like some different views.
Yeah. Now that obviously got a lot of attention. That's kind of a startling banner to see, though they didn't seem to be wearing any pro-Trump items that I can see. I mean, did they kind of say that they were Trump supporters, or were they just people kind of demonstrating? Did you get any idea?
No, they were, before they unveiled that the banner, there was one person with a Trump shirt, but the 4 that were holding that banner didn't necessarily say that they were Trump supporters. They were more or less kind of, I think, addressing the people that were peacefully holding up banners about the love Trump's hate. So their message was definitely directed toward them. They may or may not have been Trump supporters. I'm not sure.
Now, Brian, this is interesting. Often in Connecticut, we don't get, Republican nominees for president coming to visit. So, I mean, was it kind of exciting for you as a photographer to at least be outside of kind of a big gathering like this and see what was going on?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of energy, and it was amazing to see. I mean, I could see how Trump has very large rallies. I mean, 4,500 people just waiting in line for hours was
on the hottest day of the year.
Yeah. It definitely was quite a scene. But I was actually, one of the things I was amazed by is that there wasn't a lot of conflict. I was expecting, mainly because I think the line of people going into the center were a little bit farther away from the protesters. They were on Park and I think they were in the corner of Park and Jefferson. So they were a little bit separated, so you didn't have that kind of conflict. But there certainly were a lot of people, and it was very hot. So, so
all right, wait, I think I just came across my favorite sign that you took a picture of, pizza. The Italian flag and pizza. Okay, that might be my favorite one. I think we can all support that.
Certainly. That was actually, there were some people that had some really lighter signs, and I forgot the man's name, but he basically would say, as people would be going by, he would he would basically keep chanting that Mr. Trump eats pizza with a fork and knife, and that he supports deep pan pizza. So there was certainly a little bit of a lighter side to the protest.
Right. I think some people just wanting to come out and kind of witness the craziness and have some fun with it, which is cool.
Absolutely.
Well, Brian, I know you have a lot of work to do today. You took some great photos, and really appreciate you going out there and sharing those with us. And good luck the rest of your Wednesday.
Thank you, Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Brian Hafley.
Bye.
All right, well, now just to talk a little bit about some of what Trump was talking about in the rally at Sacred Heart University. He definitely was criticizing Malloy for losing General Electric. He called him an incompetent governor. He said a vote for Trump will be a signal that you won't take it anymore. He also strangely criticized the governor's name, saying along the lines, I thought it was Daniel, then it was Dan, then it was Daniel, saying he'd never heard of that name before, which neither did I, so I guess I agree with Trump on that. He also talked, obviously, about losing General Electric, and then kind of went into his war against some of the media outlets, noting at some point that maybe the New York Times press credentials should be taken away. And now, interesting, I was just kind of following local media on the Trump rally. The Waterbury Republican American was barred from attending, which is interesting. Without any explanation, a reporter was not allowed inside. And as we said, our credentials were never approved either. Now, Trump said that he is making a play for Connecticut, which has not backed a Republican presidential candidate since 1988 with George H.W. Bush. So kind of interesting there. He said, I love Connecticut. I have lived in Connecticut. I have so many friends in Connecticut. So he said normally, the party wouldn't make a play here, but that seems to be what he's out to do. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Hillary Clinton has no plans now for a public visit to the state, but she was here Monday for a $33,000 a plate fundraising dinner at a Greenwich estate that has twice hosted Obama, according to Hearst, Connecticut media. The starting price of admission for dinner with the former Secretary of State and one-time First Lady was $33,400 a plate, and the money was going to the Hillary Victory Fund. So that was her stop. Something we're more used to seeing in Connecticut is candidates going to Greenwich to raise money. So interesting there. But again, we thank Brian for getting some of that footage outside of the rally. Now, just kind of moving on to some of the other stories that I'm following this week. A story by Tina Marie Craven of the Monroe Courier. House Minority Leader, State Representative Themis Claridis, attempted to adopt a cat, and then that ended up inspiring her and other lawmakers to strengthen animal shelter laws after she encountered ill kittens and dogs that were reportedly left outside in the heat, as well as other deplorable conditions. This occurred at the SPCA of Connecticut shelter in Monroe. So some local politicians and activists gathered together recently at Monroe's town hall to speak against this animal abuse. Now, what's interesting here is the owner of that Monroe shelter, Frederick Aker, he was recently convicted on 11 counts of animal cruelty in Ansonia and Milford Superior Court. He could face up to 11 years in prison, and previously he had been convicted of 15 counts of animal cruelty in Litchfield Superior Court in 2015. Now, according to the Waterbury Republican American, Deputy Assistant State's Attorney Matt Kalthoff said he hopes to close Aker's rescue for good. Aker has been on notice with the Monroe Animal Control since 2012, when they noted that he had significantly more dogs than he was zoned for in his shelter. Now, at that press conference, State Representative Claridis spoke about, after learning about those convictions of Akers, she's been looking into the state regulations for animal shelters and rescues, and she intends to develop a plan to close the loopholes during the next legislative session in January. She said that she wants to make sure that people who have been convicted of animal cruelty cannot work with animals. So interesting story there. There's a lot more on that, a lot more detail at monroecourier.com, so you can check it out. And just something worth keeping in mind, Connecticut's annual tax-free week is just around the corner. That annual sales tax holiday week, during which most individual clothing and footwear items costing less than $100 are exempt from state sales tax, runs from August 21st to the 27th. Connecticut News Junkie reports this is the 16th consecutive year in which the state has held that tax holiday week. It also always coincides with back-to-school shopping, of course. So if an item typically costs more than $100, $100 but is on sale for less than $100, it becomes tax-free during that week. So this tradition has endured even in times like this when the state grapples with a budget shortfall. This year, the DRS expects to forego roughly $4.5 million in sales and use tax revenue during that holiday week, but a good time to get out there and purchase some back-to-school clothing. We're going to now step out for a break, and when we come back, our sports director, Frank Granito, joins me, and we're going to talk about a very special cause in Bridgeport, trying to save a wrestling program there. A lot more on that coming up on CT Pulse after this. Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan. And you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
For more than 50 years, Triple S has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities. With locations in Norwalk, Stamford, and Stratford, Triple S will get the job done fast, big or small. At Triple S, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning. Find us at triplesclean.com or 203-847-8000.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter, and I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
You're watching the HAN network, and you're not alone. More than 1.5 million viewers have watched our live sports, news, and entertainment broadcasting since the network launched in August 2015. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We are back on this week's edition of CT Pulse on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and I'm joined now by our sports director, Frank Granito, to talk about an interview you did yesterday, Frank, on a great cause, Harding High School. Due to some budget constraints, apparently the Board of Ed there, they lost some state funding, and then that trickled down, and the Board of Ed made some cuts, and that led to losing the wrestling program there.
Yeah, Harding is one of 3 schools along with Central and Bassick that suffered some cuts for about 4 or 5 programs at each school. Harding wrestling coach Eddie Santiago joined us on Nutmeg Sports yesterday. It was a great interview, and he was talking about all the steps they're taking now to find a way to fund that program. They're looking to raise $18,000 this year, and they've got about 4 or 5 different things going on right now, including a GoFundMe, a couple camps, and some proactive events with the Bridgeport Police and Fire Departments that they're
awesome.
going on.
Well, it's a great cause, and that's why we want to play that interview for you now, so check it out.
Back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Frank Granito and Donald Ang in studio today, and we are joined now by the wrestling and football coach of Warren Harding High School. That is Eddie Santiago. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having us.
Now, obviously, if you've seen it in the Connecticut Post or you heard yesterday on WGCH radio, the wrestling program, along with several other Bridgeport school programs, has been cut due to some of the state budget cuts. Coach, can you explain where exactly these budget cuts are coming from for us?
Well, we know that the city's in a big deficit right now, and we knew cuts were going to come, and we're not getting the state funding that is needed to support our city at the moment, and we were at the tail end of that. We were one of the sports that offer wrestling in Bridgeport, and no other school offers it, so they were cutting out most of these individual sports like indoor track, wrestling, and some of those other sports.
And we saw that along with some of the boys and girls tennis at Central with lacrosse. You had golf and indoor track and cross country, like you mentioned. It's really a shame. But you guys have set up a goal. You're working through a GoFundMe page. Who's at the helm of that helping you out?
Well, we were going to start the camp with Detective Kelly reached out to me at a parade, and he wanted to throw a camp for the inner city. And literally like 2 days after speaking with him, I got the phone call that the budget was going to be cut. And, you know, Detective Kelly really went after it and set up the GoFundMe for us. And he took the helm. He's running the camp here at Harding, the 3-day camp. We have high-caliber talent coaches coming by. Olympic wrestler Andy Sayers will be here tomorrow. We had the Wesleyan head coach came this afternoon. Jason Shaughnessy, head coach at Fairfield Warrior, and the success he's had with his program. So we got some high-caliber talent coming to our camp this week.
Now, Coach, you mentioned a lot of the talent coming to the camp, a lot of the fundraising. It seems like the wrestling community is really rallying around this program. Is it something? Is that kind of a unique aspect of wrestling that where, like, you know, you guys are competitors, but you're also wrestlers, and there's a certain sense of community to that group?
Yeah, I think we all understand it's a tight-knit community, and our sport, the sport of wrestling, doesn't get that big-time exposure compared to, you know, the basketball, football, and things that are more in the limelight. So the wrestling community really, really understands that, hey, we got to help out and give back and save this program. And they've come together. It's so tremendous to see all these coaches and all these alumni come back and start a team to get this money back into our program and help these kids out. These kids are in need. They are working their butts off every day. You know, our coaches do a great job here of buying food and all that, and transportation, all that stuff that goes into it really comes out of my staff's pockets. And they're taking a hit also because, you know, that part of that is going to be the salary cuts with it. And we were just in a tough position right now, but we think we could raise the money and make this thing really take off.
Now, Coach, you talked about how hard your players are working to make sure that they're going to have a season next year. Obviously, we want to see them be able to compete athletically, and we want to see them. I mean, you're just 2 years removed from having a state champion on your roster. But what role does
it was
wrestling...
last year. It was actually last year. Xavier Bass won it last year at 195 and won it before at 182 for us, and our numbers have really swelled.
Yeah, no, excuse me. I'm sorry. That's right. It was last year. It was Xavier Bass. But what role does wrestling play in the lives of these kids in this inner city, you know, environment now, where they're being having that taken away from them?
Well, you know, we got tough demographics here, and the city is a tough place to grow up in. I'm a direct product of the program itself, and just self-esteem and feeling good about yourself and doing something positive. This is something positive that these kids could grasp and really get after it. And me being the football coach, I was able to get more players to participate in the wrestling program. And these sports complement each other. And so our football team is really our wrestling team. So, you know, this is some way that we keep all of our players engaged through the winter. And we've had tremendous success recently. And they really enjoy it. They come to these facilities and they never really want to go home. You know, some of these kids have tough lives at home. They'd rather be here, and it keeps them off the street. We're saving lives. We're saving 25 to 30 lives in the winter that are not out there in the street getting into any trouble that they may be able to have access to that, you know, the community is based around. There's a lot of violence in our city. There's a lot of things going on, but this is one of the few things in our city that's highlighted that's really, really good and that's taken off in the recent years.
You know, Coach, I wanted to piggyback on that because knowing the circumstances that a lot of these kids come from, and knowing that athletes, in season and athletes in general, tend to have higher grade point averages and do better academically in schools than their peers do. I mean, this is a program that keeps kids off the streets, gives them direction, and it's not that much money. I mean, how much are we talking about here? Just let the listeners know.
It's $18,000 to run the program completely. It's the cheapest sport. There's really no overhead but the transportation and salaries, janitor's fees, and security fees. and all that stuff combined is a bulk of $18,000. But just like you said, these kids, man, they come from a tough home, and maybe this is the one hand that they're holding on to that gets them up out of bed every day and gets them to the school. And the success that we had on the field and on the mat, we have 11 of our 12 seniors that graduated, that are in college right now, that are playing at the next level, and we have one in the military. So, this is a way for kids to come back and really make Harding's graduation rate soar. We're helping that. We're helping that cause because we believe in Harding. We believe in our administrators here. But we need, like I said, we need help.
And Coach, you made a great point. It helps Harding's graduation rate, which you can't say enough, but it's also now, you look at, you've got the GoFundMe page going on, you've got the camp going on, and the support has already been obvious. What are the other steps you guys are going to take in order to accomplish that goal of $18,000?
We got to continue to work, keep networking, keep shaking hands. Our kids do a lot of community service, so it's important for us to be in the know and give back. We're not asking for just a handout here. We want you to know that our kids are involved in the community. Actually, this Thursday, we'll be participating with the fire department, painting fire hydrants on the east end of their town, and that within itself, right there, getting that exposure with our fire department and the police department. I forgot to fail to mention them. They're probably the biggest piece that's the driving force for saving the camp. The police department has directly affected the program, and they stepped up so much. Detectives Kelly's have brought many officers into the camp, and there have been just great support by our police department, and I'm very ecstatic about that.
Now, Coach, if someone wants to get involved and help out, you said we had mentioned there's a GoFundMe page. What's the address?
Yep, it's at WHHS Presidents. That's the Twitter page.
It's a
WHH. And you can go to any of our coaches on Facebook. We've been sharing it all week, so you could go there and find it also.
And the actual GoFundMe page is called Save Harding Wrestling. They raised almost $1,000 in their first 2 days. We will see that number continue to rise. Coach, if there's anything else you wanted to say to those who are listening out there about how else they can get involved or what they can do to show their support, please let us know.
I would like for anybody out there that's listening, if you could stop by tomorrow and see the camp and see the amount of kids that are out there working. And we have an Olympic wrestler coming tomorrow, Andy Sayre, so it's going to be a fun event. The more we raise the awareness, the more we give the exposure, the better off we're going to be.
And give us the time and location of that camp again for the listeners.
It's at Warren Harding High School. The camp runs from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And we've actually, Coach, we've got up on the screen right now. It is your GoFundMe page. We can see that you are up to $2,000+ now. You've had 34 people who have donated in just the 3 days it has been up. So you guys are definitely trending in the right direction. I do want to ask, Coach, because obviously you guys left the FCAC last year. You're now in the CSC, and that's a bigger travel commitment than being in the FCAC and just ranging from Greenwich to Bridgeport. Does that travel hurt the budget of the wrestling program compared to when you were in the FCAC?
Slightly, I would say so, yes. But, the one thing about the wrestling program, our schedule is kind of open. And like we said, the wrestling community is a real tight-knit community. And I have a lot of friends that, I was still able to get those FCAC matches. We go right down the street to Ward with Jason Shaughnessy. We go to various other tournaments that are local here at Ludlow. So it's just, I guess I would say it's just more of it would be about the same, but we do travel more to Hartford, so it might increase that transportation rate.
Right. Hey, Coach, last thing for me here before we let you go. You did mention that the Harding football and wrestling team, how close knit they are. Camps opened yesterday for teams that did not have spring practice. How are the Warren Harding Presidents looking this year? Are we looking at a return to the state playoffs? And also, can you tell us what it was like at the school last year, having that playoff run for the football team?
Again, start with the way the Excuse me, there's a bell here. But the way it worked out with Xavier winning that first state championship at 182, he was kind of the driving force, and his leadership skills were great for us. And it really drove us to go to that 10-0 season and make that playoff run, and getting that success. And I think this year we're just as good as a football team as we were last year, and that may shock some people that Harding football is a program now, and it's a brand, and we're excited about this season. We got Eric Jones, our quarterback this year. We lost Tyson Pumajan, but we have an excellent senior quarterback taking the helm this year.
Well, you don't go 10-0 by fluke, Coach, and we very much expect to see Harding back in the mix at the top of their state class and competing again. We want to thank you for coming on. Again, everyone, it's Save Harding Wrestling is the GoFundMe page. It's at WHHS Presidents is the Twitter account if you'd like to find more information. Coach, thank you again, and we wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
So again, that was Frank and Don talking to Coach Eddie Santiago yesterday on Nutmeg Sports.
Yeah, and it really is a great cause. You're seeing a lot of the wrestling community come out and helping. Coaches from Fairfield Ward, New Fairfield. They have a couple college coaches, including from Sacred Heart, who have come down for this camp. They're working with the police department and the fire department. Again, the Twitter, you can find them at their Twitter feed. It's WHHS Presidents, or you go to GoFundMe.com, and it's Save Harding Wrestling. It is a great cause, and it really is worth getting behind.
Yeah, and so this morning they now have $3,081. So it's steadily going up. I see one of those recent gifts is from Jonathan Law Wrestling. So it looks like they're getting a lot of local support, which is very cool.
Yeah, and the wrestling community, I was talking with a New Canaan coach last night. They're looking to find a way to support them as well. It's a very tight-knit community, and it's a program. Like Coach Santiago said, they put 12 Bridgeport inner-city kids into college last year alone just from that program. Awesome. So it really is the bigger picture and why we need to work to bring this program back.
That's great. All right, and if you missed any of that interview, it is on demand at HAN.network. Thanks so much, Frank. Going to step out for a break. When we come back on CT Pulse, Doug Smith joins me, and we're going to start drawing some conclusions coming up after this.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. My property taxes on my single-family home were close to $20,000 a year. Now that I've downsized and I'm in a townhome, and because of the condo tax laws, my fees have gone from $20,000 down to about $5,300 with the star exemption. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
Warm weather, light breezes, boats are in the water. There's no better place to celebrate summer than the Dock Shop. Whether in Darien at 51 Tokenique Road or Westport at 609 Riverside Avenue, the Dock Shop is where you'll find everything you need to kick off summer. From the latest summer apparel to the newest fishing tackle, the Dock Shop will help you get the most out of your next beach day or harbor cruise. At the Dock Shop, you'll find a wonderful selection of items made in the USA and right here in New England, all with a distinct nautical flair. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the coastal lifestyle, this is a unique place to shop. DockShop.com.
I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ing for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Wednesday, where we bring you all the top stories for Connecticut sports.
From players and coaches' interviews to expert opinions with local sports editors, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports, Monday through Wednesday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
We're back on this week's CT Pulse, joined now by Douglas Smith, who just kills trees left and right for his own
I just win people over no matter where I go. You
know? All right, Doug, so what do you have for us this week?
Actually, this week is mostly, it's like a lot of public service type cartoons, all illustrating things that are happening in the towns.
I like that. What do we have up first? So the Trumbull Arts Festival, seeking participants. And
a little
art
artiste
humor.
there. Yeah.
And up next, this one's very cute. Explain
Easton
this
Farm
one.
Tour. I was just trying to come up with, well, what can they do on a farm tour when you see
Here's a
one
tractor,
farm?
here's a cow. Actually,
Exactly.
the Easton Farm Tour, by the way, sounds way more exciting than this cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
But it's adorable. Okay, the next one is I think my favorite cartoon.
Yes. The hurricane season. It goes with an editorial in Weston.
Yep, give him time.
Yep.
Eventually he'll figure it out.
I wonder
He's
about
looking
those
up.
signs, exactly.
Well, the ones in Stratford have like the water level on
I know,
them.
and
Those
it's higher than the
terrified
car.
me as a child. All right, but I do love that one. And up next, the library will host a blood drive September 3rd. Which library
That's
is
in
this?
Monroe.
In Monroe.
The Edith Wheeler.
The bats surrounding.
Yep. And that's in Darien. That's Lobster for Ladders thing to raise money for equipment for the firemen.
The poor lobster.
Yep.
It's one giant lobster they're cooking, not several.
Yep.
And finally, we do want to talk about how we'd like submissions.
Right. If there's any young budding cartoonists out there, and in Fairfield County, you have some ideas for editorial protocol cartoons, you can send it to this address. Contact me by email there.
Right, that'd be perfect. We'd love to get them. So be sure, if you know any budding cartoonists too, to let them know.
Yep.
But Doug, as always, thanks so much for joining me. All right, we're going to wrap things up here on this week's edition of CT Pulse. Of course, next Wednesday, August 24th, Josh is back, and we welcome Trumbull First Selectman Tim Herbst in studio. He wanted to respond to some of the criticisms that we had for him last week on the show, so definitely be sure to check that out. Coming up later today, 2 o'clock, Nutmeg Sports with Frank Granito and Dave Stewart. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next week.